Hello and welcome to Short End of the Pick with Richard and Kurt. Buckle up your seatbelts today, guys, because we got tons of stories coming your way and a couple picks for you in the market. We've got lots of stuff, right, Richard?
Yeah, we got lots of fun stuff going on this week. Hey, happy
good.
May the 4th.
Yeah, I was going to say, May the 4th be with everybody, right?
Yeah.
and make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, stay followed up on all of our content.
That'll be.
And yeah, I think we've got Star Wars Day today. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Is it called May the 4th or what is it?
Yeah.
What is the official name of today?
Yeah, that's a funny one. May the 4th be with you. I don't even know when that necessarily started, because
oh man, it must have been. It must not have been too much before. I mean, it didn't start back in the 70s when Star Wars started, did it?
I would imagine not, but
it was the early 2000s.
Yeah.
Or maybe even later.
It's just the funny way that it sounds, May the 4th. It just sounds like May the 4th.
I feel like I know a lot of people whose birthdays are around here.
I have a buddy, actually.
My birthday is. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we actually have a Star Wars story.
Yeah.
Which is kind of relevant to...
Yeah, we can just kick it right off
being
with
Star
that,
Wars
too.
Day.
Do you want to just jump right into
Yeah,
that?
let's do it. Yeah, what was that? It was
yes, so
something about the new series.
Yeah, so for those of you that are Mandalorian fans on Disney Plus, the Oscar winner Taika Waititi, the guy that directed the last episode or the season finale of the first season of The Mandalorian, is being tapped to direct and co-write the new Star Wars movie. They don't have a lot of information on what that Star Wars movie is going to be about.
Wow.
I'm thinking that they're either going to... Do you think... I mean, I don't know. I don't see anything here necessarily that says where it's going to be, but do you think they're going to go in the future or they're going to go back into the past?
Well, I would presume they're dropping back, because the last thing they did was they went to the future.
Yeah. Or they could just be doing maybe like a side story like they've done like the Han Solo story and the Rogue One.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I would just think that they would keep up the trilogy thing. But if this person did, what did this person do? They did the Clone Wars or the Mandalorian?
Yeah, the Mandalorian.
Mandalorian or whatever?
Yep.
So maybe, is it possible, I don't know what that was all about. Could it be centered around that, or did you not watch that?
I've watched a few episodes of it. I guess it could be. It's basically like a series version of Rogue One or the Han Solo story. It's just a story about a guy that's a Mandalorian that's, in the Star Wars universe. So it's just an interesting take on, just diving into what the universe is like outside of the primary
That's
characters.
what Baby Yoda is from, right?
Yeah, Baby Yoda.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I have no idea, but I've kind of given up a little bit on the whole Star Wars thing.
Yeah.
I used to be so into Star Wars, and then, when Disney took it over, I was semi-optimistic, and even my semi-optimism was not, I guess, my semi-optimistic standards were not met.
Yeah. I think a lot of people were kind of on board with that one too. They're a little disappointed, I think, with the way that things turned out. I did hear someone one time was making an argument for it. They're like, it's supposed to be a children's movie. It's supposed to just be, that kind of entertainment. But for those of us that grew up on any of the, they said the same thing about episodes 1, 2, and 3. And I know a lot of people from our generation that grew up on 1, 2, and 3 liked 1, 2, and 3.
But there wasn't politics in those. You know what I mean?
Wasn't there? Isn't the whole thing politics?
No. There were politics in the plot, but there weren't subtle political messages that were baked into the themes of the movies that pertain to today's politics.
Yeah. Well.
It's just like obviously Disney is political, and they've made a point to make that clear in some of their stuff. So I think that throws some people off, including me.
I mean, that's, whatever. I mean, they make bajillions of dollars a year. So if it's working, it's working.
Yeah, they can do whatever they want.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Alrighty, want to keep on rolling?
But for me, yeah. I guess we can't talk about Star Wars all day.
Yeah. Well, we could. I could talk about Star Wars all day.
What's your favorite Star Wars character?
Yeah. Jar Jar Binks?
No.
Am I gonna get roasted at the spit for that one?
Is it really?
No, of course not. I did that one
I
as
think
like
Chewy is pretty good.
just to jar everyone. Nah, of course not.
Okay. Yeah. Ooh, to jar everyone. Okay. So, what's the next news story?
Yeah, I think we're gonna roll into this one. We're gonna go
Okay.
from something very very lighthearted to something a little bit more heavy. In that Clarence Thomas breaks a year-long silence in a Supreme Court questioning session. So, Clarence Thomas, member of the Supreme Court, one of 6 justices.
Yeah. Well,
One of 9 justices, I should say.
six.
Six.
Oh, wow. Okay.
6. What is this? 1912.
So what? So what was the do we know what the case was about?
It was just it was phone arguments. So I guess I'll just set the stage a little bit. They just started doing their first ever arguments via phone. And so
Oh yeah, because of COVID.
Clarence
You know,
Thomas.
those are all old, and Ruth Bader does not want to catch the coronavirus.
Oh no,
because
no, she can't get.
she's on borrowed time,
Yeah.
on borrowed time, on borrowed time.
The next virus she catches is going to be the
not
end
gonna
of
be
days
pretty.
for good old RGB or
Yikes.
RBG. Yeah.
Yeah, so they're doing Zoom hearings.
Yeah, they're doing Zoom hearings, and Justice Clarence Thomas, according to the Washington Examiner here, interrogated lawyers appearing before the court. The third time he broke his silence on the bench in the last decade.
He was interrogating lawyers?
Yeah, isn't it the other way around?
I feel like this is not something. Yeah, I don't feel like this is something the judge typically does.
Yeah, they don't have. I don't think they have anything here that's.
Usually the lawyers are doing the interrogating the witnesses.
Yeah, they don't have it on.
I have no idea how the Supreme Court works.
What it was about, but they just. It's just a point of interest because he never speaks.
Apparently he spoke only 3 times in 10 years or something.
Yeah. Well, that's supposedly
just funny to
during
me. Okay.
only during questioning or something like that, which you don't necessarily need to be talking a bunch if everybody else has got something to say.
Yeah, but 3 times in 10 years?
Yeah.
I mean, what is this guy doing? Just sitting there,
Yeah, wait a minute, what's going on here?
just banging his gavel.
But it's not like he's not
Well-
doing stuff outside of that. Like I would imagine 90% of what they do is just like getting stuff and then writing opinion. You know what I mean? And then they
Yeah, I
gather
don't
all the
know.
papers together, and then they're like, okay, what's everybody's opinion? Yes, yes, no, 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 no. Okay, the no's have it, kind of deal.
Yeah. They just take a yes or no and then write a big article
Yeah,
about
exactly.
it, about
Exactly.
why.
As to why they think that.
This is funny because is this the second week in a row, or we did this a couple weeks ago?
Yeah, it
where we
was a
talked
couple
about the
of weeks
Supreme
ago,
Court.
I think.
So we could become like the Supreme Court,
Yeah, you got to come to us
Like,
if you want to know anything
the
about.
beat.
Yeah, anything about Clarence Thomas talking.
No, it's interesting. I mean, so many people, especially like in the political realm, you know, news is focused on the president. Sometimes it's focused on what Congress is up to, but you know, how often do you hear about the Supreme Court? And I feel like they do a really important job. We were just talking about this.
Yeah, dude. I mean,
I was saying how the Supreme Court is like the final say. They may be the most important check in the whole checks and balances thing.
yeah, that's true. I mean, at the end of the day, the Congress and the president could sign off on something, but if the Supreme Court deems it to be unconstitutional, boom, gone.
Yep. Back to
Uh,
status quo.
But also, like, I mean, to your point about how we like cover all this, usually stuff from the president and then some stuff from the Congress. Like, honestly, like today's political news, like on the federal level, is it's so like high school drama-y. Like it is
Yeah,
annoying.
it's not helpful.
There's no information. It's just like
Yeah.
little like hisses at each other. You know, like little burns and
Yeah.
stuff like that. It's like, ooh, burn. You know, the girls or whatever in the high school movies do that stuff. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, just give me the
And
information.
once, yeah, like I was really happy when we talked about the ruling that the Supreme Court did because a couple weeks ago, because it's like the first time I've ever even it's the first time in a long time that I even knew anything that the Supreme Court ruled on. You know,
Mhm.
it's like we have to keep ourselves up to date with that. I know it's good to stay up with legislation and stuff too, but you know, court rulings are so important because they set the boundaries for what our government's allowed to do.
Yep.
So Anyway, it's really cool. So yeah, apparently Clarence Thomas, he was really passionate about this subject.
Yeah, he was like, whoa, 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 whoa.
All right, let's do one more news. You got one more news story because we'll talk about the big one in the sports. You know
Yeah,
what I'm talking about?
yeah, for sure.
We'll talk about that one. But before that, do we have another one? Do we have a funny one or anything like that?
I think I want to do this kind of cool one as our last one, and then we can keep going. So this year, well, I shouldn't say this year. I should say this week.
Yes.
Is
space
is the last, the last supermoon of 2020, and a meteor shower from Halley's Comet are happening this week. So for people that keep their eye on the sky, maybe people that are amateur astronomers, or you're really into gazing up at the stars, they're supposed to be having the last supermoon of 2020. Is this week. Mm-hmm. And I'm trying to look to see if they have a date or a specific.
Is that where
time.
the moon is like? Is that where the moon is like 4 times or 20 times larger than normal?
Yeah.
My grandma sent me a message. That said the moon is gonna be like 40 times larger than normal today. I was like, 40? It's like, where are you getting your information, Grandma?
What?
40?
She meant like physical mass, like the gravity's about to get altered, man. Everyone buckle up, grab onto something. Gonna start accelerating towards the moon.
So okay, so that is that what a supermoon is? It's just when it's bigger
it just appears bigger. I think nominally it's maybe a little bit closer to the Earth, but visually, I think there's like a distortion in the way that it looks on the horizon and stuff, like a magnification effect. That kind of helps.
Wow, you're just pulling stuff out of thin air, aren't you?
That I don't know for sure about, but I do know that typically when you see I have heard of this because there's like a lens effect when you see a moon. Like,
obviously, when it's in the horizon.
Yeah, when it's on the horizon, it looks a lot larger than it.
It's bending through the curved atmosphere, but maybe it's like the magnetic, whatever, or if it's on the one side of the sun or something. I don't know.
Yeah, but the cool
like
thing is that
of the radiation.
The cool thing with this meteor shower is that it's from Halley's Comet, which passed like 25 years ago or something like that. Or not more than that even. Halley's Comet 25. Was like in the 1980s?
I'm sorry, 1984 or 1986, I think.
Yeah. So this is just like little chunks of stuff peeling off of it. That's only
the next time it's supposed to be closest to the Earth is 2061.
Yeah, so for
just pulled it up.
That's going to make it to then. Keep an eye out, 2061.
Interesting.
Yeah, pretty cool stuff. So keep your eye, maybe go look that up. I don't have a lot of information on it, but I think that's pretty cool and something to maybe keep you a little sane in these trying times. Go outside in the middle of the night and peek up at the sky a little bit and give you a little bit of hope.
Man.
Give you a little bit of hope for the future there.
Dude, you know what I want to do? I want to drive, because we're kind of in a metro area.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's lots of people that live in metro areas now where there's so much light pollution. It's like they don't even know what stars look like. So just take a drive, like an hour outside of the city. Just hit the highway and just go out to the middle, pull off on one of these random exits where there's a little dinky nothing there.
Mm-hmm.
And just drive a minute out into wherever the nearest place you can find a park and just look up at the sky.
Yeah.
Anyway,
we kind of had that opportunity.
Was a little curt advice.
We went camping a few weeks back.
That's right.
It was pretty cool.
That was pretty nice.
Very nice.
Okay, let's move on to sports now. Now, the big story today, this came out today, right?
Yeah, you can go ahead and break it.
That the great Don Shula passed away at the age of 90, I think I heard.
Yeah.
So he lived a long life.
A ripe old
first
age.
of all, I didn't even know he was still alive, to be completely honest. I mean, I was never a Dolphins fan. I'm not super into it. I guess I knew he was old because he coached back in the day. But, this guy is like a legend. This guy he's in the Hall of Fame, obviously. I think he won the Super Bowl twice. Maybe once as a coach or both as a player. I don't know, because he played any coach.
Yeah, he had back-to-back. So he had back-to-back Super Bowl wins, Super Bowl 7 and Super Bowl 8. Super Bowl 7 being his No, when he was coaching the Miami Dolphins, I thought.
Oh, okay. Are you sure?
Maybe I'm wrong. I thought he was coaching the Miami Dolphins when they won.
Oh yeah, it says Miami It says Miami.
Yeah,
Oh, so that was back in the 70s. That's when they were really great.
yeah.
See, Dan Marino was a whole different era. See, for some reason I thought he coached during the Dan Marino era.
Uh,
But that was in the 90s, right?
but he did.
Or the
He coached for like 25 years for Miami.
Oh, dang. But he
Yeah.
never won the Super Bowl with Dan Marino.
Yeah, no,
But he won it way back in the 70s when they were like the Invincibles
Yeah,
and
yeah,
they
yeah.
went undefeated and everything.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So, dude, I didn't know
Wow.
this.
Yeah,
but
so he was the coach of the only undefeated team to win the Super Bowl,
yeah,
right?
ever.
I mean, that's what they say.
Yes, yeah, it hadn't happened before, and it hasn't happened since. It's really incredible feat to accomplish because you got to go the entire season, 16 games. Well, at the time, is it 16 games still?
No,
At the time, it was
I think
14
back then
games.
it was a little different. I think it was 14 back then.
Yeah, 14
And that's
games.
why
But
everyone
still 14 games, and then you got to win 3 games in the postseason.
all the
or
elimination
something
games.
Like that.
Yeah.
Which is that's no easy feat. I mean, the Patriots nearly did it in like 2012 or not 2012, whatever it was, 2008. I don't
Right,
remember.
but when you're undefeated, you have home field advantage, but you don't have home field advantage in the Super Bowl. That's the
Yep.
thing. That's where the Patriots failed in the Super Bowl when they
Yep.
didn't have home field advantage.
Against the Giants.
So also his coaching record, I'm seeing 676 was his all-time coach winning percentage.
Yeah, that's pretty incredible.
.676. So he had 6 ties.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I did see
As a
that too,
coach.
dude. And if you look at his like early years, like he was posting up with Baltimore and with Miami. Well, with Baltimore, he posted a 7.55. So he was winning 3 out of every
Wow.
4 games. He was winning.
But here's the thing, in the postseason, he was only 19-17.
Yeah.
That's not horrible, but
Well, I mean, it means that he played a bunch of postseason games. Like,
well, talk about playing. His career NFL statistics, he played 73 games and he had 21 interceptions.
dang.
That means he was getting a pick every 3 games, which is, I think that's
Impressive.
pretty high.
Yeah. I mean, that's definitely a deep, like, I don't know what position he was playing. But he was.
That would convert to, I don't know, 3 and 16. That would convert to like, what, 5 interceptions this season?
Yeah.
In today's age? Anyway.
That's decent. That's good. That's like a respectable number. But dude, I didn't know this. But he started as a back coach, a defensive back coach with Detroit, with the Lions.
Yeah, I saw he coached for Detroit.
Dude, that's my team.
He coached for Virginia, then Kentucky in college, and then he got to the Lions were his in with the NFL.
Yeah.
But he was also, look at this guy. He was in the National Guard,
That's a good point.
he was activated during the Korean War. I mean, he lived a life of greatness and service, I guess you could say.
Yeah, he did a lot in his lifetime, like a guy that was really well respected among his peers. I was looking at the local news channel for Miami / Fort Lauderdale Metro / West Palm. And there was a bunch of people that were, like just a really good guy, like Dan Marino, Bob Grease was one of the former quarterback. Jack Nicklaus was the golf legend. Larry Sonka. Anyone familiar with that? He was a former Dolphins running back.
Well,
just a bunch of people that played with him or for him or were.
I'll tell you what. I mean, the reason I thought that he wasn't even alive anymore. I mean, I thought he had passed away. I didn't even know he was still alive. Is because they got freeways like highways down here named after him.
Yeah.
Which I thought, I think that's kind of weird, but also just shows you how much the local people love him and appreciate him,
Yeah.
Like to have a road named after you after you're dead, I mean, that's an honor. But to have a road named after you while you're still alive, I mean, that means you're a living legend.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely well-respected guy in the NFL and Hall of Famer.
Yeah, I mean, certainly he got his
Apparently lived a
big
great
name
life.
from the perfect season, like an immaculate season, I guess. However the Dolphins fans like to call it, but I imagine, and I'm sure that has partially the reason why he's got things named after him. But I mean, he was also a man of service, like you said, and so I mean, he was just like a really well-rounded individual that actually cared about his community and for his community, and did a lot to like give back, and was just a really well-respected man, and so
Yeah.
lost a living legend. But
Yeah.
I mean, like you said, the
90
man was
years old.
90 years old, man.
Yeah.
He lived a
Long
couple of
life.
lifetimes with as much as he
Yep.
accomplished.
Enough to see Haley's Comet, right?
Yeah, he made it.
Come-
He got Haley's
Okay,
Comet
so-
twice. I will have you know.
No, he did not.
Yeah, because he was 90. Oh, well, yeah, maybe not.
No.
Because it was 85. So how old would he have been in 85?
Well, maybe.
No.
He would have been 60 something, right?
Yeah,
Because it's
shoot,
30
yeah.
years ago.
But he was really
It was
close
more than 30 years
to getting
ago.
it twice.
Wow. Okay, so we got to move on to a couple other sports stories, or maybe at least one. I mean, what I pulled out. So the one that I saw was that Andy Dalton got signed by the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
You were telling me about that. You know, I
Obviously,
think,
Andy Dalton was on the Bengals. They just got Joe Burrow.
I don't think that Andy Dalton's like, obviously they pulled him for a backup position. I mean, they have Dak Prescott, who's a really high quality quarterback.
Should it worry Dak Prescott at all?
I don't think that Dak needs to be worried.
Like now they have a good backup, so they have leverage to not re-sign him, or did they already re-sign him?
I thought they already re-signed him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was.
His contract was up.
Yeah. But
Okay.
I mean, he's such a good quarterback. I mean, he's like a really good quarterback though. Like,
Well, but if he's asking for too much,
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
a
if
good
he's
point.
trying to hold out,
a little bit of leverage.
then Jerry Jones could be like, all right, well, screw you, you know?
Yeah. But all this to say, let's make the assumption while you're looking up to determine whether or not, or are you looking that up to determine whether or not they re-signed?
Well, yeah, I'm kind of looking at this. It comes into midst of the Cowboys' ongoing contract stalemate with Prescott, the franchise quarterback who has not agreed to terms on a long-term deal.
So
how long? So I guess he's got 1 year left. Kind of like Jameis. He was 1 year behind Jameis, I think.
Yeah.
So
yeah. So this
maybe
is like
they
a
were
threat.
able to claim an option or something. But yeah, this is. Well, I don't know if it's a threat because it is Andy Dalton. I mean, he kind of had a decline. Is he really? Could he really be a winning quarterback?
long.
I think this is just a backup move. I think that this is a backup move, and the whole contract situation is separate.
Yeah.
Obviously, they got a contract negotiation going on, but I don't think Andy Dalton really changes the equation. I mean, he used to be a playoff, like he could get your team to the playoffs kind of guy, but that was with a good defense. That was with a good team. So,
Dalton, you mean?
Yeah, Dalton.
Yeah.
So
I feel like he got a
I
bad
don't think
rap
Dalton long term is gonna be a guy that you can, hang your franchise on.
Yeah, I think he got a bad rap with the Bengals last year because the Bengals were just like a really poor team overall. Like they have.
But it's been like 3 years now. It's been like a decline, right? Or 2 years at least.
Yeah, but I
Since
don't want to
they
like put all
made
the
the
blame
playoffs?
on him for how poor they played because they had struggles in the run game too as well. It's not like they were just like they couldn't just not pass the ball or something like that. So obviously there was something broken down, at the core, at the foundation of their
Yeah, that's true.
their team.
But they think that Joe Burrow is going to fix it. I mean, they went out and drafted. They took their number 1 overall. They didn't draft Chase Young. They drafted Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
So they thought that quarterback was
I think
the issue.
Yeah, I think part of that I imagine too is just like you're coming across what they probably perceived as a generational talent. Like once you're coming up and you don't not pick like I don't know who would you equate that to? Maybe like
looking back,
like Ben Roethlisberger or something. I don't know, like
or Aaron or Andrew Luck or something.
yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Well, okay, how about this? Since we're this is short end of the pick. Do you pick that this is going to change? Well, given this new information, do you think that Dak Prescott is going to remain a Cowboy after this season?
I think he likes it
Still.
there. I think he's got a really good bond with the team. I think it's dependent on if they can find a price point. I mean, Dak is a pretty high quality quarterback, and he doesn't play in like a outrageously difficult division right now.
So
like,
you think they'll come to terms?
that come to
You
term-
think that Jerry Jones will come to terms with him? That they'll work out a contract?
I think they will. Yeah.
Because I'm not arguing if he's a good quarterback or bad quarterback, or that's not the question at hand. It's is he gonna get signed with the Cowboys?
Yeah. What do you think?
Yeah, I think he will. I think they'll work it out, and I don't think that Dalton is really playing much of a factor here.
Yeah. What about like Ezekiel Elliott? Like, I don't know when his contract is up
Well,
or
he
anything
already
like that, or if it's
he already did his. I think.
Okay.
I think he did his big thing.
I
I don't know, but I think.
I think they have a really good like internal bond. It's kind of like you want to have a really good quarterback to receiver bond. There's like a chemistry aspect to playing on a football team together when you're throwing the ball to somebody, and so I think that they really get along. I don't know that for
Well,
sure. I don't know them.
You're talking about
personally.
Ezekiel Elliott?
Yeah, him. Yeah, Dak and Ezekiel.
Oh. Well, okay. I mean, I guess he's throwing it to him sometimes, but isn't he the running back?
Yeah, but you still need if he ever gets the ball, it's not like direct snap or anything like that. You still have to have some sort of chemistry, and you build a really close bond to people that are backs. Like the offensive line kind of has their own thing, and the people that are like playing backs, like wide receivers and running backs, tend to have a little bit of a different chemistry between themselves.
I don't know, man. I mean, it's the NFL. It's chemistry has a little bit to do with it, but
I just think that it's
I don't think
build these.
I don't think Dak has a problem with chemistry. I mean, I don't think Jerry Jones is arguing that he has a problem with chemistry. I just think that they're just bickering back and forth about how valuable really is that good chemistry. Okay, yeah, you're a good player, you have good chemistry with the team, but does that mean I'm going to pay you $200 trillion?
Yeah.
No, I'm gonna settle at a certain point, and obviously they're gonna both want, Dak's gonna want a lot of money, and Jerry Jones is gonna want to not pay him as much as he possibly can get away with.
That's a good point.
They're just arguing about it.
Yeah.
Obviously, at a certain point, it costs a lot to have these negotiations ramble on, because then the fans get angry at you. They start, the whole team loses a little bit of morale because they think that something's up, and there's this dissension in the thing. So sometimes it's better to just do a contract, eat a $5 million that you didn't want to pay, and just move on and keep everyone happy and cheerful. But anyway.
Yeah. I mean, from the standpoint of Dak doesn't want to leave necessarily. I don't think he would want to leave because of the bond he's built. So that's just leverage from the other side to say, listen, I know you like playing on this team. Aren't you willing to accept, we're gonna pay you well. You're not gonna not get paid at the end of the day. But
now they do have a new coaching situation. They just got rid of Garrett, and they got a new coach now. The guy that used to coach at Green Bay.
That's true. Yeah.
I forget his name, but
I can't think of it either. Right.
Anyway. All right. Well, we got to move on. I think. Were there any other sports stories that we wanted to cover?
Not to my knowledge. I mean, there's not a lot.
Obviously,
going on.
there's not much going on. Yeah.
There's like charity events going on for golf, and so if you're watching those or if you keep a tab on that, then that's pretty cool. I heard that somebody, I can't remember who, hit a hole in one, but because they have these little styrofoam things in the cups now to prevent like the spread of the virus, I guess, that it bounced off of it and then bounced out of the cup. And so they didn't count it as a hole-in-one. He had to putt through.
What?
So, and then when
that is ridiculous.
There was a picture of the golf ball, and it had a little blue mark from the styrofoam, from where it hit the styrofoam thing. And what's his name? I don't know who it was. It was like Jordan Spieth or something like that. Convinced that was a hole. He's like, I'm calling it a hole-in-one, even though it doesn't go down on the scoreboard that way.
Wow. And then we've got, like, a judge ruled against the U.S. women's national team equal pay lawsuit, and they're saying that they're not going to stop fighting, so that's another big thing that'll keep going on forever. Okay, well, we got to move to
maybe we'll bring that up next week or next year or next month when it's still just as
that's relevant. A little teaser, yeah.
That's
a little. All All right, so business news. One big story that I think we wanted to go over was the Warren Buffett call
Yeah, I think that's a
on
good.
airlines.
Yeah, I think that's a good place to start. So, do you want to just jump in with that, or do you want me to try and pull up the
Oh,
story for that?
well, yeah. I mean, you can. Yeah, I didn't even really pull up
I got it.
some of
I
these.
have the story here. It
Well, some of
was
these metrics about the. If you go over the story, I'll pull up some of the vitals from the week
yeah.
on the market.
So yeah, the stocks open lower. Airline stocks were hit especially hard with American Airlines and Delta both dropping about 10%. So I had the story here. Where is it? He abandoned these. He abandoned. So Warren Buffett, owner of Berkshire Hathaway, right? Or he started Berkshire
Oh
Hathaway.
yeah, yeah, yeah. He's a majority owner, I think.
Yeah, he made his living. He's a world-renowned investor. For anyone that doesn't know, certainly look him up. And he's got all kinds of quotes and stuff like that. And he's just a really well-informed individual. Dropped his shares that he just completely offloaded his American Airlines shares. And I think if they had other major airlines as well, they offloaded some of that. So it says Warren Buffett's exit from airline stocks is a wake-up call for index investors. I recommend selling. Quote, quote, quote. I recommend selling some position in the S&P 500 index if the upward streak continues. It's like a little quote.
So he was like on some sort of program or something, some sort of conference, and they interviewed him, or he mentioned something about it.
Mm-hmm. I am pulling it up.
Yeah. A lot of times, what he says, like a lot of investors follow what he does, and they just make their moves based on, him because he's been so successful in the long run. So I think it's kind of foolish to follow someone in the short term on some move that they're making. Obviously, Warren Buffett is not all wise. I mean, he doesn't know what's going to happen with the airline industry. He tends to make wise decisions over the long term, but
Okay,
I don't
here
know
it
if
is.
following
Yeah.
him for this one move is the way to go.
Yeah. It says Berkshire Hathaway offloaded its big positions in American, Delta, Southwest, and United due to depleted travel demand amid the coronavirus pandemic. The move by Buffett, a staunch advocate of investing in low-income index funds, is a noteworthy change for the renowned investor who famously suggested in 1987 and 2008 that investors should get aggressive about stocks when others are fearful. Buying a down and out equity can yield a big return when the market rebounds. This is CNBC, by the way. Which is,
Yeah.
I've been kind of playing that game as well. Like, you want to buy into a down market because
Well,
it's going
that's
to turn
obvious.
up
Yeah.
eventually.
Obvious. That's obvious wisdom. That's really easy to say out loud, but really hard to do in the moment.
Yeah.
Because it's really scary to buy something that's the bottom is falling out of it, and it's really hard to sell something when it's gone up 10% the last 2 weeks. You know what I mean? So, it takes a lot of discipline to follow through on those. But I'm looking at the market indexes. The S&P, everything's down week over week. S&P was down, but it's not down horribly. It was down slightly. The worst days were like basically Thursday and Friday.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be S&P down, Dow is down. They're all down about 1.5% or 1.5%, maybe. Russell was down even. NASDAQ down on the week, but not horribly. This, I don't know what you could call it. This big rally, it's brought us about halfway back to the highs, but it's just like it did in mid-April. It's starting, it's showing some signs of weakness. It's not surging. Obviously it looks, when it's going up pretty quickly, it looks like it's surging, but then it hits these weeks where it just levels off. And so, and it ticks down. You can't tell. It kind of looks like it's still going to be going up, but
yeah, it's a weird time.
It's not the most convincing rebound. Yeah, very volatile.
It's that time like where you think we're about to get out of things, and then they don't know. So the thing is, like, when the market knows what's going on, if they know something bad's gonna happen, like they know that we're that bad things are happening, they're gonna plan. That's gonna get baked in, and yeah, maybe you'll see declines and stuff like that. But it's gonna be consistent, and then the market's gonna correct to where it knows it needs to be. But it's times like this when investing is a little bit more challenging, because they don't know if we're gonna be if we're all gonna be in our home for the next month and a half, or if at the end of next week they're gonna be people are gonna be back at work or something like that. Like they literally have no idea where we are right now. They don't know where international travel
Right.
is gonna be at. They don't know they don't know if people are gonna be taking a
Yeah.
summer vacation. Like they literally have no idea now. This is a challenging point. So
Yeah, and even when people kind of get back to work, like how quickly do they spend all that money that they've, like obviously, there's been a lot of defaulting and a lot of deferring on payments, and that's to be expected. But the real question mark is, how is that going up the chain of liquidity throughout the country, and how is that really affecting the ability to lend money? And are we going to be able to go right back to this lending nature that we had beforehand with good, with tons of consumer spending and tons of consumer confidence? And no one knows the answer. Like how long is it going to take to get back to that? Even if we have the restrictions back in order at a certain time, we still don't know if people are going to voluntarily go out and spend the money, or if they're going to try, keep a tighter clutch on it because they're just worried, and people are worried of all sorts of things.
I mean, that's a really good point. You don't know how the consumer is going to respond to changes in the market as well. So it's not just how it's not just how the companies.
It's a really.
Yeah. There's a lot of pieces at play right now, so it's really challenging to make those kinds of predictions. So what do you think? I mean, I don't know if you were ever a proponent for airline stocks. Do you like that move by Buffett, or were you never had really an eye on that?
Well, I mean, the airlines have taken a beating.
Yeah.
Conventionally, I'm looking at the chart and I'm thinking, well, it's a heck of a good time to buy.
Yeah.
Because these things are at the bottom. And I read a couple stories about some analysts saying they're near the bottom. They've reached a point where they can't really go much lower, and it would be a good time to buy. But honestly, I think that airlines are going to be one of the things that are affected the longest term. I mean, I think that people are going to be scared. People will go back to restaurants before they start flying on planes, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And just the human psyche of getting into a plane and sitting next to people on your left and on your right and in front and back and breathing the air and everything. Yeah. I think people are going to be scared to go on planes until we get a vaccine. The vaccine will be a cure for basically everything. Once people can get the vaccine, they will be, they'll be freely back into their normal lives without any fear. But as long as the fear exists, traveling is going to take a hit, and I do think that airlines are going to suffer for a while, and therefore, if they have any debt that that they're having trouble servicing because they don't have the income to service it right now, debt that they normally would be able to service easily because they have so much income normally, but now that they don't have income, if they have debt that they're not able to service, and this thing lasts, and they're under their mark as far as income, this could really cause some serious problems. And I'm talking bankruptcies and mergers, they're forced into mergers because the banks are going to come calling and saying, look, we have all this money that we are relying on you to pay us, and you're not doing it. So they're going to have to, they're going to have to make moves. Maybe it doesn't come down to that. I mean, maybe the income, I don't know the balance sheets of all these companies, so it's really hard to put your finger on.
Yeah.
I basically gave two different answers there, but
no,
it is a scary time, but also they've been hammered hard. I mean, they are really low. So, hey, maybe it is a time to buy.
Yeah. No, yeah, I mean, it's just such a confusing thing. I like the point that, at the end of the day, it's a really capital-intensive market, so they obviously have to take out some debt in order to get their, get their companies up and running, and so it's all about managing that debt. It's all about debt management, and so if you have an income stream, then a bank is willing to, accept the fact that you have, a ton of debt.
And let's be, here's another thing about airlines: they don't have diversity of income. Like, look at Disney. Okay, Disney's getting hard because they have to close down their resorts, their parks.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
But they have a whole other entertainment side of the business where they can they can collect money from people that are subscribing to their videos and their movies, and they can sell some part of their entertainment, but people aren't coming to their parks. They're losing all that revenue, and they're having to. But see, they're a little bit diverse in that they can keep collecting. But look at airlines. I mean, they have almost no diversity as far as income.
Yeah, they
I
got
mean, if people aren't flying, yeah, I guess if there's goods and there's people, so maybe that's their diversity.
Freight is fractional. Like you didn't.
Right.
People don't fly anything around because it's so expensive. Like they would much rather the time.
You have to be overnighting something.
Yeah, exactly. The time cost of having to put it on a train is worth not having to spend the amount of money that it costs to fly something somewhere. Like a gallon of milk. Yeah, they're just gonna put that on a train, man. Like that. It doesn't need to be there. It doesn't need to be there tomorrow. Like the milk will be okay.
So I mean, if people aren't flying, I mean, they don't have any. There's no other source of income. Like, and that's why they should look more like a household. I mean, if you've got one household with one income earner, and you've got a debt on your mortgage. It's not good to live paycheck to paycheck, because if you lose your job and you need to go look for another job and it takes you a couple months to find one, you want to have some cash laying around, just to pay the mortgage bills. So you want to have some reserve cash. And I don't know how many of these airlines had reserves built up to service this debt, because if you don't pay your mortgage payment and the bank is relying on that money, they're going to come and they're going to foreclose on you eventually. And that's the risk that the airlines are running.
Yeah, I imagine that I mean, I know we've spent a lot of time on this, but just as a wrapping up point, that over the last few years, maybe since 2010 or 2008 or whatever, when the market collapsed and interest rates went like basically into went to zero essentially. That's like a key point in time where you are like, I'm gonna take out as much debt as I possibly can.
Yeah.
And the whole
if things get really bad, then you can look back at those zero interest rates and go, well, that's why we had this environment.
Yeah, because I mean, they're like, there's literally never going to be a better time to go out and buy a fleet of 600 airplanes. Like we need a bunch of airplanes right now, brand new airplanes, all the works and everything like that. And they probably got caught in a position where now they're like, we weren't expecting the world to shut down. And it's like, well, you got to expect the worst.
You have to expect it every once in a while. It is going to shut down, and you can never know when, but it's almost certain that eventually it's going to happen.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's a good point. The interest rate.
Yeah,
so okay,
00 always comes up. That's like the saying. Like when you're playing roulette, no one ever bets on 00.
Yeah.
But a 00 always comes up eventually. So
once in a blue moon, and when it comes, you better be ready. So. Real quickly, we got to wrap this up, but maybe 30 seconds. You can give us your stock pick for the week. Do you have one?
Yeah,
hot
I do.
Take? Is it
so
your hot take?
So my hot take.
Yeah, hot take.
Is it my hot take or is it?
Yes, it's your hot take.
Okay, my hot take.
No, it's your hot take.
Oh, so it's Kurt's big pick. My hot take for today is Intel. So Intel, big news. They just bought the Move It app for $900 million. To boost their bet on robotic cars. So basically they're saying that, hey, like this self-driving car thing is going to be a reality going forward. So we want to keep our investment pretty large in there. And so they bought this mobile app called Move It, which is an 8-year-old. I'm going to just read it from ABC News. 8-year-old company based in Israel makes the app that compiles data from public transit, ride-hailing services, and other resources to help 800 million users plan a way to get around. So they're just like
that's down our alley.
They're like a logistics.
That's pretty cool.
They're like a logistics app. So they bought it. I don't have their numbers right now, but they bottomed out a little while ago. They're still about 10. They're trading at like $58 a share right now. They were trading as high as $68 a share a little while ago. So I think they still got a little cap space there. You're not gonna like capture, if you're gonna invest in them. You're not gonna capture any of those. Any of that V shape, like buy them in the down because they're already on the upside. But for a long-term investment in robotic cars and autonomous vehicles, I think that's a good way to go. So they're obviously going all in right now.
All right, yeah. Well, that was a little bit longer than 30 seconds.
Sorry,
but I'll give you a pass
I got excited.
All right, no, you got Intel right there. For Kurt's big pick, I'm gonna go with Intuit. which is a financial services, sort of a financial consulting, I guess, and taxes and stuff. You know, the Intuit TurboTax, I guess, is their big thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just picking them because with all this small business loans and all these rules and regulations that the government is pumping out left and right, I just feel like the demand for their service is going to go, you know, through the roof in the short term. And, you know, this would be a good pick for the next couple of weeks, the next couple months maybe, until we start to level off on these new like small business loan applications that people have to. They need lawyers and CPAs to tell them what to do.
Yeah, everyone
how to comply.
Everyone pushed back paying their taxes until July.
That's right, tax day.
So you still got another couple of
months.
That's
a good point.
Before everything comes to fruition, you could catch them. You could catch them in a good spot right here.
Yep.
And we don't know.
That's
they
my
might
pick.
roll out another round of business taxes and stuff, or business breaks or whatever.
Well,
you know.
Yeah, those small business or those loans, and then you know it just seems like you need to hire somebody if you're a small business or you're even a big business if they have those high level consulting resources. I don't know, but a lot of small business, they rely on companies like Intuit, you know, to give them a guy for a day to figure out their books.
Yeah.
So
good pick.
Yeah, that's it. That's Richard's hot take and Kurt's big pick for the day.
Perfect.
And with that, I think we're done, Richard.
Yeah, you want to wrap us up?
Yeah, everyone.
Click arguments.
Well, I don't know about arguments, but definitely click that subscribe button.
Yeah.
And click the like button and keep following us. And go ahead and comment your picks below. What do you think is going to be a good stock over the next week? I know there's not a lot of sports going on, but go ahead and comment. And we have to check. Next week, we have to check our last couple stock picks because we kind of skipped these last couple weeks, or at least this week. We need to look back and see how we did. You know, we can't just skip on that. You know, because I want to know if I'm beating you.
I think that maybe it's a good thing I didn't do that this week.
I don't even remember what you got. Now I gotta go back and listen and find out. Okay, we'll cover it next week. Okay, and with that, subscribe, like, comment. We'll catch you guys on the next episode of Short End of the Pick with Richard and Kurt. We'll see you guys next time. Until then.